Hey there, this is Shaman Naturally with Karen, and I started a moment ago and I'm restarting because the mail carrier was here and the dogs were going ballistic at the door. You have some really beautiful native drumming in the background. A boy, 15, 16-year-old, I believe, lost his life yesterday on our residential city block here, and so sending love for him too. I did not know him. And so you might hear a little bit of that in the background. I'm very thankful that we have the opportunity to have people around that still remember how to do things in, the ancient ways. Before we get started, because many people are coming all up the block, it's just absolutely beautiful to witness for BJ. I'm going to send love to BJ here for a moment. I have made a watermelon cooler in the Ninja, and I want to show you before we get started talking a little bit. It's going to be a smaller live stream about thyroid. I want to show you something that I think is a really great idea for you to invest in. So let's watch here. This is the Ninja. It's a 900 watts. I want to make sure I didn't say amp. And it's $59 at Walmart. You can probably buy it online. And this is what I'm making a lot of these drinks and smoothies. And then I'm going to show you, as I'm rehabilitating and regenerating myself, I cut a quarter, not a whole, but a quarter of, an average size water, not a super big one, but an average size watermelon for $5.99. And I cut it up, into chunks. And I had my medicine ice cubes so that I could make, a really refreshing drink like this watermelon cooler. So cut your watermelon into 4 sections and take one of the sections and take your knife and scoop around until you get all the nice red sweet stuff, and then pack the pieces into the taller, because you get a taller and a shorter container. And then at the dollar store, Dollar Tree, you can get these really cool silicone, pop out from the bottom ice cubes. And then I put a lot of my medicine in the ice cubes. In this case, I have my Irish moss and bladderwrack so that I can really rehabilitate myself. Anyway, so for many years, I've been teaching thyroid awareness, coaching clients with thyroid imbalance, teaching thyroid workshops, and the last one in 2017 before my close family member became addicted to heroin and fentanyl. I taught a course at Whole Foods in Duluth called Thyroid Madness. And Thyroid Madness was just about the mental and emotional issues that are definitely correlated with thyroid issues. And as I said many times, I wouldn't have cared less about reading a book about thyroid or knowing about thyroid. I mean, who cares about a thyroid? Except that when I found out that your thyroid has to send energy to every single cell in your body. And I knew that during times in my life, from the time I was very young until recently going through a stress event again, I knew that I felt so tired, I didn't have enough energy, that I wanted to figure out what was causing it. As I started to dig into what exactly was thyroid doing, it became really obvious to me that the majority of people in the world have a thyroid issue. And for that reason, I attached a quick Google search of what are the most prescribed medications in 2019, in this year, June 1st, 2019, what are they? And number one is the levothyroxine. Levothyroxine, if you don't know, and you probably do, is a synthetic thyroid hormone. So now your body has TSH, T3, T4, and many other T or thyroid hormones, right? Vitamin D isn't a vitamin, it's a hormone, right? much of what you've been told about your health, your thyroid, the testing you've been given is really largely not complete. So instead of me saying it's not true, I'm going to say it's not complete. So I walked into the Dollar Tree today, went out and took the new dog, the new pack member, Legless. From 7:06 we got there until about 9:35. We stayed much longer because I live streamed through the forest, the walking. And I touched on many, many things, even if the quality of the video is not that great. I touched on a great many subjects. And after I got home and I took a shower and I had a sweet potato that I baked, before we stopped at Cloquet Natural Foods, which is a small, natural, like health food type store that I've gone to since Linda owned it and Deb owned it. And now Jody owns it with her husband. And when I went in there, I said, we're all dirty right now. We haven't showered or gotten ourselves manicured up because we've been out, rehabbing a dog. And she was like, what? And I was like, you don't know what I mean, right? And she goes, no, well, I don't really know that much about dogs. And I was like, well, that helps me so that we can relate better. After I left there and I explained to her what it meant, that I was seeing the skeleton, the spine of the dog smooth down. He wasn't baying as much. He was getting healthier. His eyes weren't bulging out. He wasn't so anxious all the time. He wasn't just, panicked all the time because of what kind of stress he was under. The person he was with, if the person is stressed, like in the majority of our households, the dog is going to feel the same way because they're very connected. So as I left there with a vegan probiotic, because it's not that I buy everything vegan, but this one happens to be $5.95 for a jar of vegan acidophilus in the refrigerator. And I needed to get another bottle of probiotic. And so $5.95 fit really well into my budget. I get up in the morning and the first thing I do is I take a probiotic on an empty stomach as I'm regenerating my gut. All the root of disease is in the gut and the mind equally. So don't let them fool you. I went over to Dollar Tree. I took Anthony to work. I went over to the bank to get some cash out and pay the rent on my professional space, pay it to the lady that I rent from. I have rented in Cloquet to do wellness and massage for 16 years in good standing with the city of Cloquet, Minnesota, in northeast Minnesota in Carleton County. And I went and I dropped off the money and put it in her bin. And I went over to Dollar Tree. And so I was at Dollar Tree and I had to get a couple of things there that I needed to get. And as I was in line, there was probably about 5 women in line. There was one lady who was waiting. She was going to be the next person that the cashier took in line. And she had like 2 or 3 things at Dollar Tree. And she had 20 ounce, I think it is, green plastic bottle of Mountain Dew, regular Mountain Dew. The lady behind her that was just in front of me in this line of about 5 people at Dollar Tree today at about 12:05, she started reaching for a sun-kissed orange in the little cabinet that was right there as we were all waiting. And you kind of, you know how it is when you're in line, you're looking around, you're like, there's kind of some cool stuff here. I wonder if I should add that to my mix, or maybe it's not a good idea. And so I looked at her and I said, I'm really glad you put that back because we all need to help each other out because we might be craving oranges, and the thought of a sun-kissed orange on a day when it's finally super nice and warm is so appealing, but it's so destructive. It's like the wrong kind of phosphorus that eats your bone, and it's just not going to be good for you. So since I'd already had my water and a nice long hike, I didn't go to the gym today, and I got my bottle of probiotics for $5.95. And I got over there, and then a conversation took place, and I thought to myself, I really want to share this with you. I published a book that for 3 years, I sat at this table right here on this really hard chair without a ton of resources, with a lot of thinking. Why did so many things happen to my family? Why were so many things happening to so many of my clients' families? Why would clients that had been with me for more than 10 years have gone through mastectomies, breast removal, right? Fibrocystic breast disease, issues with having their children, fertility, children that were born with problems, fibromyalgia. I could feel palpable swollen thyroids. I could feel a rash around their neck that they didn't even know they had. I started to realize the generalized anxiety disorder in my own family. I started to think back about how around 2004, 5, and 6, when I was getting all these mercury fillings drilled out of my mouth and composite fillings put back. My whole mouth was filled at age 12, and I had horrible dental anxiety. I started to think, wow, I went through screaming, raging, anxiety, depression, bad food choices that exacerbated all these things. So here were these women, and sometimes when I want to help, I have to realize that it might be taken offensively. It might be taken as a judgment. So I really prepare myself to do the best possible to make it be kind and not offensive. But it's in the spirit of, please don't do that. Please don't go down a path I went down that was so ugly and awful. I think back about how Dr. Sabi and Arnold Ehret and all of the other folks that were healers like myself, they're medicine people. And you may be a medicine person, or you may be someone who's going to be a medicine person. A lot of people that work with me end up on their journey to being medicine people. So here we are in line with about 5 of us, all women. The 2 ladies in front of me, the first one who's going to go take her turn with the cashier at Dollar Tree today at about 12:05, 12:15. She's got her bottle of Mountain Dew, and I look over, and because I'm observing, I'm not just looking, I'm not just judging, I'm observing. I noticed a woman who's probably in her early 60s and a very attractive, beautiful woman who is very soft-spoken, and the kind that you just feel like she's probably would just wrap you up in a hug and love you, so you don't want to be offensive. And I noticed she had a buffalo hump. And I said, I'm glad you put the sun kiss back to the lady in front of me. And the other lady looked over and I said, these drinks, and particularly Mountain Dew in particular, along with Fresca, Mountain Dew, and there's another one, it might be Fanta Orange. Any of them, when you turn them over on the label, and it says in capital letters, B as in boy, V as in Victor, O as in Oscar, BVO. That stands for brominated vegetable oil. So here she had a buffalo hump, which meant that when you turn to the side, you could kind of see a thickening on the back of the neck there. And that came from her never, ever being helped with regard to her thyroid. Now, as I wrote in my revised book, which will be coming out soon, 2nd edition, Detox and Heal Your Thyroid. It was originally published November of 2017, so I'm, fairly early on doing a 2nd edition. I want it to be the best. I want people to have a step-by-step. It's going to talk about how these drinks are doing horrible things. So I've got 10th grade girls coming in from Cloquet High School, Esco High School, Marshall High School, Denfeld High School. Parents have to sit and the parents bring them in and they do a massage. But really what they wanted, what they're asking me for all these years later, is a medical intuitive session. They want me to sense what they don't know and what the doctor is never going to tell them. They want me on the screen when I ask them to turn to the side and I look to see, is that buffalo hump there? Is the hair super thin? Are the eyes like a session? I had 3 sessions yesterday that were half-hour sessions with women that I dearly love. I've had about 5 sessions with her, one that I'm going to speak about right now. And I said, are you having headaches? What's going on? Because I could see that the eyes, you could see from the top of the eyelid that there was optic swelling, right? So as I'm in line and as I'm on the screen with people, I'm relating with people through my words that about 70 to 80% of us, including children now, have thyroid issues. But the doctor is not picking them up until they're far too advanced. They're far too late until, gee, now you've got autoimmune. Now you've got breast cancer. Now you've got, and no one is telling you the truth that it began early on, maybe before you were born or right after you were born, because many generations of your mamas had a thyroid issue. So as I get up to the line, the lady gets kind of butthurt that I said, you know, you might want to find something else because that Mountain Dew is really harmful for you. I said, you've already got the beginnings of a buffalo hump. And she's like, I said, I'm really saying this from a place of love. I want to help you, you know, because if that's what's going on, it's going to go deeper and deeper. It's not going to be good for you. It's not going to be safe for you not to realize what's going on and to really legitimately help it. I'm not running around with a hair test kit trying to sell everyone. What I'm saying is they're not even aware, not because they're dumb, not because, you know, anything's wrong with them, because they were never told, just like I wasn't told certain things about fixing my car or fixing my house or any of those things. So the lady that's just in front of me comes up and it's her turn and she said, I've had my thyroid taken out. The lady behind me in line, because now there's 5 of us, the lady in front of me, the lady behind me, and 2 other ladies that are in line at Dollar Tree. And the lady right behind me says, I've had my thyroid irradiated. It's been killed. It's been destroyed. I don't think she said killed, but she said, my thyroid's been destroyed. I said, my son Zawa went to school and at Cloquet High School and graduated in 2014. And I've actually had messenger inbox messages, private messages from 2 young women who now have already had children. So they've weakened, stressed theirself, right? We love our children. Pregnancy is a beautiful time of life. Definitely not, I would have had 5 more children had I, you know, had my ability to do that, meaning my partner and I were all on the same page. However, you're giving up your minerals. You're giving up your trace elements. You're weakening your spark plugs. So she'd already had a thyroidectomy and she graduated in 2014, 5 years ago. For me, I said to her, please, 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 please go to my website at naturallywithkaren.com, download, go to the shop and find the book, Detox and Heal Your Thyroid. Click, it's $19.98, I think it is. It'll be in your email in less than a minute and start reading it. Just read a chapter a day. The chapters are fairly short. They're very straightforward. You'll get so much information. And then you'll know what to do because your children aren't going to know. Your children aren't going to know what hit them. It's going to look like any number, you know, even some of the sites talk about, meaning some of the people that talk about thyroid, mention 300 to 400 different symptoms for thyroid imbalance alone. Okay. So thyroid is underneath many of the cancers. It's 100% underneath fibromyalgia. Fibrocystic breast disease, it's a major component. Uterine fibroids, PCOS. 150% of the time, it's underneath what we call mental illness, bipolar. And I wish, because after 35 years and a lifetime of learning, but as an adult, 35 years of learning detoxification, mind, body, etc. on my own, after learning from my grandmother to become a medicine woman and a shaman, I now see through it. I now can be in a Dollar Tree or a food place or Duluth Grill, and I can observe and I can tell what's going on, not only from a logical, but from an intuitive perspective. And that now feels weird to the majority of people. So many of the folks that I also, you know, feel the same about thyroid, who've also published books like I have, and some of them are doctors and some of them are not. Some of us never wanted to be. We feel very strongly that there is such a high number of thyroid imbalances and that it's the underpinnings for mental, physical, and emotional and spiritual issues. I had to make 3 more stops. And on one of the stops that I made, just like at the dog park, and a man who's on my Facebook page, and he knows this, and this is probably about 5 years ago. But today I made another stop and I ran into a woman, and as we were speaking together, I noticed the classic lupus rash. No doctors ever noticed that on her. She's in her 50s. She's never conveyed that she has a diagnosis of lupus. I'm not a person who makes a diagnosis. What I said very clearly is not diagnosing. What I said is I noticed a rash that comes around the eyes, and then you can see it. It's a butterfly type rash. And I said to myself, note to self, there's lupus going on there. Lupus is a disease name patterned after the wolf. And people start to get sicker and sicker and sicker because their body is sick. If you have extra weight on your frame, it's going to cost you. If you get rid of the wheat and the dairy, it's going to be better. Okay? Sherry, if that's you, welcome. I'm glad to see you. So, thyroid and observations, being at Dollar Tree today, being on the errands that I'm on, being out in the woods today, and being out in the sunshine was so invigorating and so beautiful. I wish that people would really honestly realize that the majority of the blood serum testing and the majority of what they're going to hand you as a, quote, medication, end quote, is not ever going to heal your thyroid. And it is causing sexual, gender, and all kinds of problems. I have hypothyroidism, yeah. Just about every single person that I see, and some much, much more than others, has all the signs of a slow thyroid. That causes me some concern because it slows down your whole system. And if it stays there long enough and you stay in a state of crisis, what's going to end up happening is it's going to eventually speed up as if it's speeding up to its own demise. So instead of calling it hypo and hyperthyroidism, maybe we can just say that your thyroid is not getting fed. Because that's really what's happening. You're not feeding your thyroid. You're feeding your taste buds. So when will your thyroid act up more is when you're under stress, okay? If your thyroid is under stress, bless up, Kathy, good to see you. If you are under stress, the first thing that happens when you're under stress is you start to kind of freeze up, right? And as you freeze up, just like in my course, Crucial Keys to Unlocking Disease, it goes into much, much more even than you can heal your life, which I began with in 1984. I took it and that book in 1984, which I'm so thankful to Louise Hay for, rest in peace. She was the originator of the Hay House, which I thought was absolutely amazing in 1984, and it has since changed quite a bit. They approach people like me, and we can pay thousands of dollars to be promoted and have ourselves promoted to the level of celebrity. But at Dollar Tree today, I realized that just about every single woman, including the cashier, had a thyroid issue. And instead of us waiting around to be diagnosed as our loved ones suffer from anxiety, depression, generalized anxiety disorder, all the way to agoraphobia, fibromyalgia, all these cancers, it's not that, oh my gosh, she's saying absolutely everything in the world is your thyroid. I'm saying that it's a significant part for some things, and it's a part for others. It's 100%, it is a part when it comes to breast cancer. It is a part when it comes to your energy and when it comes to how you sleep. So if you're someone that went the majority of your life and you are congested, even if you don't appear to be overweight, your system can be very congested and it can really cost you. Okay? So I'm going to end this for now. And oh, bless up, I didn't see you, Kim. So Kathy, Kim, and Sherry. I want to do the toxic brain, our second part. I'm thinking about doing that with regard to something. I've worked with 5 people with Parkinson's disease, 5 men, not women. And I have my theories about why they're men. Can I prove it? Probably not. I'm not going to go do 5 years of double-blind empirical studies to prove that. Why is it mostly men that I've worked with? I've worked with a really high percentage of Rh negative people, which is really interesting. I mean, just pause at that for a moment and think about that. But I've worked with a lot of different kinds of diagnoses and a lot of different people with a lot of different ways of thinking. People that just absolutely thought maybe that they were going to die if they didn't get enough protein and calcium. People that had just never heard of the fact that you could detox and heal. I'm telling you that with all of the honesty and all of the truthfulness and integrity, loyalty and respect, the mental health issues are completely reversible. So you can detox and heal yourself just like I'm doing. You can get sunshine, you can walk, you can get supplements, you can drink your watermelon cooler with your Irish moss and bladderwrack. It's very refreshing. And you can change your entire life. So keep in mind that about 70 to 80% of people have a thyroid issue. And they may know that it might be diagnosed and it might not. But to wait around for the doctor, if you've had low blood pressure, maybe you don't have it now, but let's just say most of your life you had low blood pressure. You had low body temperature. You had a little slower reflex points when the doctor hit them, especially around the Achilles region down there by your ankle. You were more prone to cysts on your ovaries. Maybe you knew about it, maybe you didn't, maybe they were phantom cysts that came and went. You were more prone to feeling really cold hands and feet. You didn't tolerate winter as much. You got undeserved weight gain, meaning that you sure as heck weren't out there eating pies and cookies all the time, but why did you gain so much weight? Why do you feel so tired and find it so hard to get out of bed? Why are you so forgetful? Why do you feel like, why is it you that you're so lazy and fatigued and full of lethargy all the time? You're just exhausted, right? Why do you lose everything? Why is it important to you, but for some reason you lose everything? Why do you have so much brain fog that you say to yourself, I can't remember. I'm starting to worry that I can't remember. Clients have approached me and told me this for many years. Why can't you sit down and read a book anymore when maybe you used to really enjoy reading books, but now you just can't? You don't have the attention span. The only thing you have the attention span for is to sit here and scroll on the phone because it's an immediate dopamine hit. Why is it that you either have type 1 or type 2 insomnia? One type is you lay down and you fall asleep really super easy and you're exhausted, but you wake up repeatedly throughout the night. And the other type of insomnia is you lay there and you toss and you turn, and no matter what you do, you can't fall asleep. But then when you get to sleep, oh my goodness, trying to get up and have some energy. Why is your hair so coarse? Why is your hair thinning? Why is your hair graying so early? Why are you super pasty and when you go outside you start to burn? Or if you're a melanated person, you're brown, or you're a person that's very dark brown, we call that black. Why is it that you're starting to lose patches of pigment? You can see it on your face. Why do you have cystic acne? Why are your moods up and down? Why do you feel like you need to self-medicate with alcohol or Tylenol with codeine or Lortabs or gabapentins, or maybe it's gabapentins and alcohol? All of these are signs to me that you don't have enough energy. You don't have enough energy to fund your own life, to keep your body from making cysts and acne, to keep your body temperature at a correct level so you feel good. If your reflexes are very dulled and slowed, that's why you're losing things. That's why you're dropping things. That's why you lose the key all the time. That's why you lose your money. That's why you lose your friends. And eventually you don't want to go outside and you're embarrassed and you don't want people to see you. And you're self-medicating your pain with alcohol, drugs, opioids, benzos, prescription drugs, or a combination. I've worked with men who did everything in their power to get to sleep at night with vodka, with Diet Coke and Tylenol PM, with Ambien, that when their tongue got hot, the tip of their tongue got really hot, they went to the doctor and the doctor gave them something to stop their tongue from being hot. Do you start to see the idiocracy of this? Well, we've got another pill for that, because people go to the doctor and they're expecting relief. When you come to me, expect to find the root. Expect to find out, why is it really happening? I'm not going to put you through scanners and magnets and drinking contrast fluid. I'm not going to do any of those things. I don't even have to be in person, because what you fill out on your wellness form at naturallywithkaren.com under the consults tab, there's a wellness form. I read all of that. I want you to put as much as you want to. And I read it before we even meet on my time, so that I'm so careful with yours. And I've never had one person go to my Facebook page, my YouTube, or anything else and say, she didn't do what she said she was going to do. And if you do say that, then I know that you're a troll or a liar, because everyone has really exceptionally commented and recommended how wonderful it was to find out why, in fact, they had the problems that they did. If I get your hair test and I find out your aluminum is extremely elevated, your tin is extremely elevated, your sodium and potassium are extremely elevated, if those last two are elevated, you have gotten yourself into a classic addictive personality. Wouldn't it be nice to know? So that I can recommend what you need to do with regard to your sodium and potassium to drive that down, so you're much less likely to have an addictive personality. That's not something you have to have forever. I had a hideous thyroid problem. My whole mouth was filled with mercury fillings. They also contain a lot of copper. There was something I could do about that. Okay? I'm going to read your comment, Kathy. To have a copy tired of cancer BS. I'm not sure what you're saying here, Kathy. I've read your book at my daughter's. Would like to have a copy tired of cancer BS. Please send me info how to heal your thyroid, heal yourself. Oh, okay. So Kathy, what you do to work with me and go on your own journey is you go to naturallywithkaren.com. You click on the consults tab. You click on where it says wellness form. You fill all that out and you click submit. It goes to my email. Everything's right there. We set up a time to do a session. Underneath cancer is a tired body. A body that was preparing itself for, a long haul, a life where there's not enough energy to fund it. You've got to have energy is life. Life is energy. Okay? So I hope this has been beneficial. When I'm out and about, whether I'm on the Duluth Lake Walk, or I'm at the Dollar Tree in Cloquet, or I'm at the high school, any of the high schools, or I'm at local little restaurants or juice places or anything else, I'm noticing swollen eyelids. I'm noticing how many children are wearing eyeglasses. I'm noticing how many elders, like the lady at Dollar Tree when I had to go last night. I was going to Dollar Tree quite a bit this week, this strong. She had a service dog, and she had a service dog because she had a severe hearing issue. Most of the time, not all the time, there are other factors. Most of the time, she had many containers of Cool Whip and frozen sweets from the dollar store in her cart. I could tell by the look of her hair and her face and her skin that she was severely congested. And the massive, over 200-pound dog that looked like a Mastiff, a Neapolitan or a Brindle Mastiff, looked sick as well. Meaning that we're feeding dogs entirely bagged kibble. And that's not enough nutrition. There's not enough minerals in that. So anyway, I hope this has been enjoyable. And the next thing we're going to do is Toxic Brain, section number 2. And I'm probably going to do that about Parkinson's disease. All right. Thank you.